All right, greetings everyone. Welcome to Eat Clean, Get Lean. It's our first night we're together. Tonight is just an information only night. I'm just going to open up my PowerPoint here so everyone can see what I'm seeing. Here we go. And I'm on a little early before you guys, so I'm just getting myself prepared here and waiting for the room to populate with all our attendees. Some of you have already signed up. I'm looking at my little countdown thing. I have about 38 seconds before you guys actually come on. Some of you already signed up, which I think is fantastic, and we have some bonuses for you that we haven't even talked about, so we're pretty excited about that. Some of you are hearing me for the first time, and you're contemplating about joining our Eat Clean, Get Lean 12-week online coaching program, so I want to welcome you. I think you're going to be very impressed with the amount of information we're going to provide. I certainly think we've provided an opportunity for anyone to join us because we've kept the price down and we keep putting the value higher and higher. And you're going to learn a little bit more about that as we go on. And some of you are clients of mine who have been training with me for a while, and you're either been through the program again and you're doing it for a second or third time. It's the third time we've done the program, so I want to welcome you. And some of you have been clients for a while and haven't heard me do the Eat Clean, Get Lean program. So you're in for some surprises. I always tell people, if you're a client of mine, I want you to be in the program. There's so much I can teach you in the space of 30 minutes or 35 minutes, 40 minutes on an evening like this that I cannot teach you when we're training because we're too busy counting reps and moving from one exercise to another. But this gives me an opportunity to sit down, take a deep breath, and discuss a lot of things. Now, we're going to talk a lot about a lot more things other than just food and exercise over the next 12 weeks. We're going to talk about alcohol. We're going to talk about things like carbohydrate tipping point. We're going to mention things like hunger and energy and cravings. We're going to help some people reconcile chronic illness. I'm going to have some new things that I'm introducing this program that we didn't have in the last two programs. We've uncovered some new technology, some new nutritional products that we've never discussed, some videos that we've never produced. We're going to especially produce for this. And if anyone's been with me before, one of the other things I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pull out all the big SAT words, as I call them. I'm going to try to simplify a few things. We are going to have an Eat Clean, Get Lean program in the future for medical professionals only, and I'll put all the big words back in for them because they're going to pay big money to hear the big words. But for you, I really want you to get the concepts. The goal of this program is that after these 12 weeks are up, there's nothing that you really need to do or change to help you have optimal health and wellness for the rest of your life. And, you know, it's January 2015. I'm going to give you the latest technology that's out there. I'm going to give you the research that's come out in the last 6 months. Anything new that's hit out there, my job is to report it. If you're an accountant, you have to spend all day doing tax law changes. If you're an attorney, there's different law changes. If you're a car mechanic, there's new technology in that field. You don't have time to sit back and scour the internet for this information. Well, that's what Susan and I do. We do the research for you, and then we present it in bites so that you can understand it and appreciate it. Now, Susan's sitting here right next to me.
Hello.
Say hello. Good. And the only reason I'm killing a little time now is I'm waiting for the room to populate. There's a few people that are stragglers that I know are going to be on the call. Excuse me. And I want to make sure I'm giving them just a couple of minutes to join us. Everything that you see tonight that comes up across the screen and a lot of the scripting that was done, Susan was probably 90% of it. So I want to thank her for all the time and effort she put in. And I also would be remiss if I didn't tell you that much of what you're going to be hearing today as well, I've learned from some tremendous mentors over the year. This past year and many years, quite frankly, Dr. Jay Tita and his brother Keone have been very instrumental in helping us to really understand the hormonal effect of food and exercise. Will Smith from IntraFit was very instrumental early on in explaining to us the hormonal effect of food and how certain food combinations are going to affect certain hormones in the body. And I can go on and on and on. I always tell people I've stood on the shoulders of giants in this industry. And I just want to always acknowledge that it's through their time and effort and mentoring of me that I'm able to share this with you today. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. The room's getting pretty filled up now, and I just want to welcome everybody. If you just came in the last 2 minutes or so, I've been killing time for the last 5 minutes, just waiting for the room to populate. But we'll get started. Now, for some of you, you're not on live tonight, but I promise that a replay is going to be hitting your email tomorrow morning. Now, if you want to hear me live again and you weren't live tonight, but you want to have a chance to hear me do this again live, I'm doing this again on Monday night at 8 o'clock right here. So you just you would respond to an email to let us know that you want to be part of the live group on Monday night. And the reason we're doing that is only because through the holidays, I know a lot of people missed emails. They might not have seen my ads in the CoStar. They might not have got this information till the last minute. So we're going to give people an opportunity to do that. But we will be beginning on Monday night. Okay, and if you stay on to the end of the call, Susan just passed me a note. It's true. I mentioned earlier we're going to have some bonuses. Well, there's going to be a free gift for everyone who stays on the call to the very end, and I think you're going to be very, very happy with that gift. So with that, let's get started. So welcome to Eat Clean, Get Lean, the 12-week coaching program. We're going to talk about exercise, nutrition, and mindset. And we're going to try to get people to escape the diet trap. So here we have this young woman, and she looks like she's a little bit distraught. She's got her exercise ball, and she looks like she's kind of, between a rock and a hard place, not sure exactly what to do. Well, by the end of this call, you're going to have a lot better idea of what it is that you need to do to accomplish your goals. The 3 key points we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to talk about the hormonal effect of food. We're going to talk about hormonal balancing, walking, and sleep rest cycles. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the hormonal effect of intense exercise as well. So what can I expect from tonight's call? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about fat loss versus weight loss. There is a difference there. We're going to talk about energy, and we're going to talk about how you go about reducing hunger and cravings. So what is traditionally taught? Well, if you follow most of the diet industry out there, they're always talking about calories in, calories out. And we know that is not the way our human body works. We are a very highly detailed scientific experiment where hormones and enzymes determine calories burnt, not just how many you eat and how many you think you're burning. So they teach eat less and exercise more and lose weight. Now that almost kind of makes sense. And I've had physicians have this discussion with me. Well, if you just eat less food and you exercise more, it should work. But hopefully tonight what you're going to find out is that's not the way to go about doing it. Okay, so I have a little chart here, and you see 2 blue flags and you see 2 red flagged areas. Okay, let's talk about the red flagged areas first. We have the eat less, exercise more model, which is on the lower right. And what happens is, will you lose some fat? Yes, but you're also going to experience a tremendous amount of muscle loss. And remember, muscle and protein is what helps to drive your metabolism. So if you decrease the amount of muscle mass, you're going to decrease your metabolism. And that has you run into a whole host of problems. And we're going to discuss those in a few minutes. And of course, there's always the eat more, exercise less model. And that's what most of you did during the holidays. And it's no wonder how people can gain 10, 15, 20 pounds between Halloween and New Year's. It's very easy to do. Okay, so those are 2 models that we feel do not work very well. The models that we're going to present to you tonight are going to be in the lower left. You see eat less, exercise less for fat loss. And then, of course, there's the eat more, exercise more model for muscle gain. The eat less, exercise less model you're going to learn about tonight is what we're going to use initially to help you balance out your metabolism and get your hormones under control. So just sit back and enjoy the ride for the next couple of minutes. Now, people say to me all the time, you don't understand, Mike. I want to lose weight and I want to gain muscle and I want to do it at the same time. Well, that's called metabolic multitasking. And your body does not like to do metabolic multitasking. It wants to do one or the other, okay? So our goal initially for many of us, the first 4 weeks, is we want to get our hormones balanced. We want to get our metabolism under control. We want to start to lose stored body fat, and we want to start to reconcile chronic illness. So that's going to be the first 4 weeks that we're going to focus on. So earlier I said, you know, it's not about calories in and calories out. It's more a hormonal balancing. So your brain is a thermostat, not a bank. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, let's use tonight as an example. Okay, it's probably getting down around 15 degrees outside. And because of that, the houses start to get a little chilly. You have your heat set on 68. When the temperature in your house drops below 68, what happens? The heat comes on. It's responding to its environment. So our body does the same thing, depending on how much energy we use during the course of the day and how much food we put in. Your body's going to adjust to the environment that you're in. So you're not a bank, you're a thermostat. Okay, so the yo-yo dieting that many people have done, this is the example right here. Let's start at the top with the eat less and exercise more. So it's New Year's and I'm going to go out and I'm going to start running every day. I'm going to skip breakfast. I'm going to have salad for lunch, and you know I'll just eat like a prepackaged dinner. So I'm going to get really low on the calories, and I'm going to expend a tremendous amount of energy going out and running. Or I'm going to start going to the gym. Well, what happens with that type of situation is your body accommodates to the amount of food that you're eating, and your metabolic rate starts to decrease. When that happens, you start to get insatiable hunger and cravings, and your energy continues to decrease. You can only do that for a certain amount of time, and eventually your brain's going to say, we can't do this anymore. So what happens? People stop exercising, start to overeat, they exercise less, they get rebound, all that weight, it all comes back. And then what do? They say, okay, well, I put the weight back on, but now I'm going to try that eat less, exercise less again. And people have been doing this for years. And all they continue to do is decrease the amount of lean mass they have, increase their body fat, and their percent body fat actually goes up over time. So what do we teach? In this webinar, we're going to teach you about how to balance your metabolism. And how do you know that your metabolism is balanced? Well, we're going to introduce a term called HEC. And we're going to say, is your HEC in check? Now, HEC stands for hunger, energy, and cravings. So what we're going to teach you is we're going to teach you how to get your HEC in check so you're not hungry, you have good energy, and you have little to no cravings. And when that happens, you'll naturally lower the amount of calories that you eat because you're going to have decreased hunger and cravings. You're going to get lean. You're going to stay lean. You're going to balance out your hormones, and you're going to balance out your blood sugar. And don't worry about how that happens. This is what we're going to be teaching. Now, just so you know, I know there's a chat box available to you, but the way I have it set up right now, I can't see that chat box. So I'll be sure that at the end of my presentation to answer any questions. And remember, if you're with me for the next 12 weeks, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get answers, and we're going to have a lot of exchange. Thank you, Susan. Susan pointed that out to me. So let's get back to the brain a little bit. What has you staying at the weight that you're currently at? Well, in the brain, we have something called the weight regulating mechanism. It's your thermostat. Remember a couple slides ago I showed you that thermostat? Well, you have a thermostat in your head. The hypothalamus contains the weight regulating mechanism. It also controls your heart rate. It controls your rate of respiration. It controls your blood pressure. It controls your body temperature. It's like the master control center of your body. Okay. But one of the things it has is the weight regulating mechanism. And we can manipulate the weight regulating mechanism by how we treat ourselves. So there's four main factors that can either influence you gaining weight or losing weight. Let's go through those real quick. The first one is food chemicals and food additives. These are things that are foreign to the body, something that the body's never seen before and isn't really sure what to do with. So it kind of disrupts the weight regulating mechanism and makes you gain weight. Exercise, movement, and rest, okay? If you're very sedentary, your body thinks, when you're sedentary, your body thinks that there's no food available and that you're in a dangerous situation, and it starts going into conservation mode. So we need to exercise, we need to move, and you have to have adequate amount of rest. Rest is important because rest helps to maintain and balance out your stress hormones. We're going to spend time over the next 12 weeks, talking about things like cortisol and melatonin. Okay. Stress directly affects the weight regulating mechanism, and so does balanced blood sugar. So we're going to teach you how to address all four of these factors in our Eat Clean, Get Lean program. Okay, so let's talk about things like big rocks versus little rocks. You know, there's a story about a college professor, and he has a jar on the table, and he says, you know, we're going to put in these rocks, these big rocks. So he fills up the jar with the rocks, and he says, now is the jar filled? And the students go, yes. He's like, well, not really. And he takes out some little rocks, and he starts putting those in. Those kind of fill in between the cracks. And he says, okay, now is the jar filled? And the students say, yes. He's like, well, not really. And he takes these little tiny pebbles, he starts putting them in, and they start to fit between the cracks. And he looks out and goes, okay, is the jar filled now? And they go, yes. And he says, well, not really. And he takes out some sand and probably some water and pours that in. And he goes, now the jar is finally filled. So if you're going to put the big rocks in the jar, they need to go in first, right? Because if you fill it up with little rocks and sand, you have no room for the big rocks. So in the hierarchy of how we eat, we're going to talk about big rocks versus little rocks. So your big rocks are your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats. That's how we start building your meals. The next thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at vitamins, minerals, and water. You could probably put fiber in there too. Okay, so the foods you eat should be rich in vitamins, minerals, fiber, and water. Now, I personally believe that most people cannot get adequate amounts of vitamins, minerals, water, and fiber in the foods they eat for a lot of different reasons. That's going to be week number 8. We're going to talk a lot about that in detail and why that happens. So we believe in supplementation. We believe in a little bit of what I call nutrition insurance. And again, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that as well. And then last but not least, free range, wild caught, non-GMO, those are also important components. But the biggest components is making sure that we have protein, fats, and carbohydrates in our meals that are rich with vitamins, minerals, fiber, and water. And of course, the little pebbles would be supplements, and then the sand would be free range, non-GMO. Okay, so let's talk about the law of metabolic compensation. I touched base on this a little earlier when I was showing you the box with the four I call them flags: the eat more, exercise more, the eat less, exercise less, and so forth. When we eat less and we exercise more, your resting metabolic rate will drop to kind of parallel the amount of food that you're eating. And we've seen people whose metabolic rate will drop as much as 200 to 800 calories a day. And that's called metabolic compensation. Now, here's the example I give on this all the time. This will make sense. I always try to develop a word picture when possible. If you're in a car and you're in Brielle and you have to go to New York City and your car gets 40 miles to the gallon, okay, it's probably about 60 miles to New York City from here. And if I put 1 gallon of gas in your car, are you going to get to New York City from Brielle? And the answer to that is no. You're going to run out of gas. Okay. So how is it that you think you can go further on less gas? Well, you can't. Well, guess what? You can't go out and exercise more on less food, because you'll run into the same problem you run into with your car. You're going to run out of gas. But the body technically doesn't run out of gas. What it does is it starts to slow down metabolism, and it starts to burn alternative fuels. And the one thing it'll burn is it'll burn protein. Here's another example I like to give. I like to give you a word picture. If you're out on Route 18, which is our main road here, if you're not from New Jersey, I know there's people from outside the state listening on, and you get caught in a snowstorm and your car is stuck, and you call 911, you say, I'm stuck on Route 18 in this big snowstorm, and they say, okay, we won't get to you for 6 hours. And you say, well, I don't think I have more than about 2 hours worth of gas left in my car. So they may say, okay, well, what you should do is this. We're going to try to teach you how to conserve that fuel. So you're going to start the car, get the car warmed up, and when it's warm, you're going to shut the engine off and keep it off. And when you get too cold, you can't take it anymore, turn the car back on, warm it up again, get it warm, and then shut the engine off. And if you do that, the 2 hours of gas, maybe it'll last you the 6 hours until we can come get you, and you'll survive the storm. Your body does the same thing. When you're not giving it enough fuel, it will slow down metabolism and shut down metabolism, quite frankly, in order to keep you alive. Okay? So when that happens, people tend to have increased hunger, cravings, and decreased energy, okay, because you're not giving your body enough fuel, and that's going to cause weight regain and overcompensation. And we've seen this over and over and over again. So the diet industry out there keeps promoting, well, eat less calories. If you look at all the big diets out there you see on TV, whether it be Nutrisystem or Jenny Craig or Slim Fast. I don't even know if they do Slim Fast anymore. They're all calorie models. Nobody's taking into consideration the hormonal value of the foods that are in these products. So that's where we're a little different. We're going to talk a lot about the hormonal effect of food and the hormonal effect of exercise. Now, so people say, well, what's so bad? What really bad can happen? Well, the next step up from that is something called metabolic resistance. And after chronic low-calorie diets and extreme exercise, your weight loss plateaus while your hunger and energy, your hunger and cravings increase while energy decreases. So people naturally reduce calories even more, which makes their metabolic resistance even worse. Okay? And then you start to get changes in brain chemistry, stress, moodiness, fatigue, and more hormonal imbalances. And that causes decreased motivation and decrease in your self-confidence and depression. Okay? The next step after that, and this is where Susan and I start to really get concerned, this is when we have to start referring people out to physicians because it's kind of gone too far, is you start to run into metabolic damage. And that's things like adrenal fatigue, PCOS, which stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, digestive issues, poor growth of hair, skin, and nails, autoimmune responses like rheumatoid arthritis, MS, lupus, and leukopenia. You start to see muscle wasting, increases, and body fat increases as well. So this is when people say, I'm kind of like skinny fat. I'm really light on the scale, but I have no muscle tone, and my skin is just hanging on me, and I look fat. I have bad posture. So we see this, and this is when we start talking to people about having to gain weight. All of a sudden the red flags go up. But we've actually had people in our clinic gain weight and lose a dress size because their body starts to change, and you start to develop increased bone density, increase lean mass, their posture improves, their metabolism starts coming back. Okay. And then last but not least, we talked a little bit about adrenal fatigue, hypothyroidism, and mitochondrial disease. Now, Mitochondria, we're going to spend some time talking about that in the future. Just so you know, the mitochondria is the engine of the cell, and the engine needs fuel. And if it doesn't get fuel, it starts shutting down. And that's where people's metabolism starts to become problematic, and they start to develop some severe autoimmune disease. So these are the type of things that we have to refer out to physicians because it's beyond our scope of practice. But we do see it all the time, and we certainly know that this is definitely due to over-exercising and a lot of nutritional deficiencies. So what's the solution? Welcome to the 12-week Eat Clean and Get Lean coaching program. Now, the key word to this is coaching program. Okay, this is not, here's a book, pay me $19.99, and I wish you the best. Or it's not just a bunch of videos where follow these videos or go to this website and follow this and do this, and that's it. This is a coaching program. You're buying Susan and I for the next 12 weeks. Okay, you're going to have tremendous access to us. We're going to be teaching on a daily basis. We're going to be holding your hands over the next 12 weeks to help you to accomplish your goals. It's funny because Weight Watchers just came out with a personal coaching program. I was watching TV the other day. And I'm not being braggadocious, but I guarantee you they don't have a master's degree in exercise physiology and 30 years of clinical experience. So if you're looking for a coach, you're probably in the right place. Okay, the first 4 weeks, again, is going back and learning how to balance your metabolism. So we're going to talk about the 3-2-1 program. We're going to teach you how to do 3 meals a day. We're going to talk about 2 protein shakes and 1 whole food meal. Now, let me say this. I have people come to me and say, Mike, I can do a protein shake a day. I don't think I can do 2 protein shakes a day. Some people can, but some people can't. Okay, we're going to teach you how to take, say, the lunch or breakfast in that particular day and convert it into a whole food meal that mimics what would go into a protein shake. Okay, it's very, very important that we get your blood sugar balanced and we start to develop hormonal balance as well. And these protein shakes are not just commercially developed shakes with just a lot of protein and no nutrients in them. We're going to teach you how you can use some commercially prepared whole food shakes, but we're also going to teach you how to make some shakes from scratch. And they're loaded with vitamins and minerals and the proper amount of protein and the right type of carbohydrate so that your brain and your nervous system is well fed, so we minimize hunger and cravings and we maximize energy. All right, so here's a little bit about protein shake design. So protein is very important in the body because protein builds muscles. It develops your immune system, your hormones and enzymes. Hormones either speed up things in the body or slow them down, and enzymes take things apart and put them back together again, which is very important when you're trying to move things in and out of cells, that you have the right enzymes. Collagen, which is everything that holds you together, hair, skin, and nails, all your connective tissue. And RBCs, red blood cells. The hemoglobin actually is what's built by protein. That's the oxygen carrying capacity of your blood. Now, protein can be broken down to glucose if needed to feed the brain and nervous system. So what do? We add something to the shakes called branched chain amino acids, which is added to shakes, and it spares your valuable body protein. So you're not breaking down your body proteins. Your body will break down the branched chain amino acid in addition to help feed the brain and nervous system. Now, fiber adds in digestion and helping you to feel satiated or feel full along with the protein. And then the last thing we add to the shake is cacao. Cacao is nothing more than unsweetened chocolate. Okay, it's funny. We just got back from Washington, D.C., and we saw how they take the cocoa bean and roast it and then break it down and turn it into cacao. So it was a very interesting little trip.
At George Washington's homestead.
Yes, at George Washington's homestead down in Mount Vernon. So we got a little bit of an education, and we appreciated that. But cacao helps to stabilize the brain because it helps to build levels of dopamine and serotonin. Now, serotonin is one of those brain chemicals that makes you feel happy, makes you feel calm. And I would say one of the most frequent medications I see when clients come in is a selective serotonin uptake inhibitor. Okay. It helps to keep serotonin circulating in the body so that it can be used and not taken back from where it was produced. So this is a whole, natural, very inexpensive, very effective, and very easy to make. So we already have a video out on how to make a protein shake. I'm also going to do a video in my office later this week because I don't have a blender in my office. I don't have a refrigerator in my office. And I'm going to show you how I make the shakes in my office. So if I can make them in my office, you can make them at your office. Very, very easy to do. The whole food meal design is we start with a lean protein source. Lean meaning including a healthy fat. Now we're going to get a lot into saturated fats, monosaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats. We're going to break a lot of this stuff down, but keep in mind one thing. If saturated fats caused heart disease, we would not be here as a human race because we've been eating animal fats for millions of years. So how come all of a sudden in the last 100 years became the villain? It's not. We're going to explain a lot of that to you over the next 12 weeks. Fibrous carbohydrates. We're going to explain the difference between starchy carbohydrates, wet carbohydrates, fibrous carbohydrates. It'll all make sense when we're done. Okay. Starchy carbohydrates are very, very important. You see the woman on the right, she looks like she's getting a nice restful sleep. Well, we believe that starchy carbohydrate helps to feed the brain and nervous system and facilitates restful sleep. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, for the first 4 weeks, we're going to continue with the 3-2-1 program. We're going to teach you how to do 2 strength training routines, and every day we're going to encourage you to walk for an hour. Okay, there's something about walking that teaches the brain prosperity because our ancestors would walk for long periods of time only if food was available and it was safe for them to do so. If it was 4 feet of snow outside and no food available and they didn't move, their metabolism would shut down and they would have a lack of sunlight, lack of movement, and it did cause not just a mental depression, but a physical depression. And they probably slept 12 hours a day back then. But you and I have to go to work. We can't sleep 12 hours a day. So we need to find ways to facilitate that same prosperity, and walking is one of the ways we're going to do that. So let's talk a little bit about why do we need to do resistance training? Well, performing muscle exercise to temporary muscle failure causes a production of lactic acid. Lactic acid is the key that unlocks the door to all the healing compounds of the body, such as testosterone, human growth hormone, and other tissue repair hormones. And these are very, very important in order to maintain maximum amount of health. So mitochondrial proliferation. Okay, I talked about the mitochondria earlier. Just think of a car and think of an engine. The engine of the cell is the mitochondria, okay? So working to temporary muscle failure, which means you have some breathlessness and burning with the particular exercise, it sends a very strong neurological signal to the brain, causing an increase in the number, the size, and the function of the mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell where fat and oxygen are burned. So what is a mitochondrial disease? One of the most famous mitochondrial diseases is multiple sclerosis. So what is one of the worst things you can do for someone with MS? Starve them and don't have them exercise. That's going to just exacerbate and make their problem a whole lot worse. We have resources from physicians. There's one physician, Dr. Wall. I'm going to mention her later on in this course. She's a physician who got out of a wheelchair and cured her multiple sclerosis. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how she did that. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you videos directly from her that talks about how her exercise and nutrition program helped her to heal. She's going to talk a lot about supplementation as well. She's also a big advocate of supplementation. So anyone who's gotten out of a wheelchair and is out riding bikes is someone I want to listen to, especially if they have an MD after their name. During the first 4 weeks, we're going to stay with the 3-2-1. We're going to start talking about restorative activities. These are things that make you happy, things that make you feel better. So restorative activities are things like massage, laughter, reading. I'll use the word intimacy. You know, a hug gives a lot of different positive neurotransmitters to fire. It makes you feel better. It uplifts you. And everyone knows how good a massage feels. Maybe getting into a tub with some Epsom salts and relaxing. These are all important things. We're going to talk a lot about magnesium and how magnesium helps to quiet the mind and helps for more restful sleep. These are things that's going to take me 12 weeks to teach you. I can't teach it to you in a half-hour introductory seminar, but just trust me, it's all coming at you. And why do we walk for an hour a day? Okay, well, it helps to balance your stress hormones of cortisol and the adrenal hormones, and helps to reduce the incidence of adrenal fatigue. It helps to balance insulin and blood sugar levels, and is genetically instinctual as opposed to jogging, which for most people increases cortisol, causes blood sugar instability, and increases adrenal stress hormones. If you need to run and you feel like I can't get through my day unless I go for a jog, God bless you. Go ahead and start jogging. That's the way you feel. But most people who come to me, if I told them they had to start taking up jogging, they would never come back again. Walking is something that most everybody can do. Resistance training under conditions that are safe, where the stress levels, or I should say the risk levels, are really low and the benefit is real high. Most everybody can do that. I have people in my studio who are 76 years old. They can lift 5 pounds. I have a woman who's 77 years old, very proud of her. She bench presses 25-pound dumbbells. So there's no excuse as to why you can't. And it's funny because my dad always said to me, yeah, can't means won't or don't know how. If you don't know how, I can teach you. If you won't do it, I can't help you. So we don't use the word can't. Okay, can't's not acceptable. You know, I don't know how to do that, Mike. Great. I can help you. Susan, I don't know what I'm doing with that, with my nutrition. Great. I can help you. You're in a coaching program. This isn't a, here's a book, I wish you a happy life. This is a 12-week coaching program. Okay, in week 5, we kind of flip things around. We start getting into more of an eat more and exercise more model. So now that the hormones have been reset and fat burning metabolism is put in place, now we can add more food and more exercise because now we're building lean mass. Okay, and there's a wonderful picture of Susan with her dumbbells. Now 6 weeks, 6 through 12, well, what are we going to do? Well, that depends. That's where the coaching comes into play. What you do moving forward will be between you and me, right? Not you and I, you and me. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's where the coaching comes in. Now, there's people who stay on the eat more, exercise more model, and they do very, very well. There's people who fall back into an eat less, exercise less model. That also works well. There's people who do one thing Monday through Friday and something different on the weekends. Again, I can't teach you that in 45 minutes, but you'll learn it over the next 12 weeks. So here's a testimonial from a woman who came to us, and she was, that I don't want to say she was having weight issues, but she was not happy with the condition of her midsection. So she allowed us to do this testimonial of her, and you can see her before and after picture right here. And she said, I just put away my 12s, my 10s, and most of my 8s, thanks to KM Fitness. For the past 2 years, I've been working hard to lose the 30 pounds I put on since my 43rd birthday. In April, I had lost most of it, but was stuck with more to lose to really fit into my clothes and feel comfortable. Since working with KM Fitness, I have dropped 7 pounds since April, but more importantly, I went from 25% body fat down to 20.3% body fat, and she was the fittest she had been in 16 years. The best part is that the nutrition plan feels like a new way of living for me, definitely not a diet. I feel like I can continue without a problem. I've established the habits I need to maintain this weight and to keep improving. I don't feel hungry all the time, and when I am hungry, I eat lots of good food that is fueling my workouts and keeping my energy up. Hunger, energy, cravings, heck, are in check. Okay, so this is right from her. So let's talk a little bit about the program. What are you going to get if you're doing this program? Now, if you're a current client, there is no fee. If you've already paid me the $99, you don't have to pay me again. Isn't that wonderful? But if you're on this call for the first time and you like a lot of what we talked about tonight, and you're saying, you know what, I need to lose weight. I don't feel like I'm at my best. Or, you know, I'm on 3 different types of medication, and my doctor keeps saying to me, you know, you do a lot better if you just start to exercise and get on a healthy diet. Okay. Or whatever it is that you're looking to do, accomplish. Okay. This is a great place to get started. Is it going to answer all your problems? No. Are you going to hit your goal in the next 90 days? Maybe not. But at least I'm putting you on a path that's going to take you where you want to go. Okay. If you're standing on Main Street in Manasquan, you're facing west, and you start walking, you'll never hit the Atlantic Ocean. But if you turn around and head east in 1 mile, your feet will get wet. You'll step right into the Atlantic Ocean. You got to go in the right direction, and you got to do the right things. And there's an old saying, do not grow weary in doing the right things, because you'll reap in due season if you faint not. So if you keep doing the right things, eventually you're going to get where you want. But if you keep going in the wrong direction, starting and stopping and being very inconsistent, you're just going to destroy your health. And there's a lot of people out there that can understand exactly what I'm saying, because quite frankly, that's what they've done. So we're going to work on getting your weight to where you want it to be, lowering your percent body fat, finally getting hunger and cravings under control, giving you optimal amount of energy, and start to really move you in a direction you want to go. So the 12-week program talks about giving you 12 weeks of weekly webinar coaching, where we'll cover nutrition, lifestyle, and very specific exercise protocols that are going to be tailored to what you need to do. There'll be a private Facebook page for daily questions. That's the best way to get in touch with Susan and I. We don't usually take phone calls during the day when we're training, because quite frankly, I can't stop in the middle of a session to answer the phone. But what I do is I may stop between clients, check my Facebook page real quick, and if there's a question that pops up, I'll shoot an answer right back to you and then go back to training my next client. So that is the best way to get in touch with us. It's also a great way to share with other people in the group, because if you have a problem, there's a good chance that someone has the same problem. So it allows interaction in the group. We also send daily educational emails out. You're going to get a metabolic and brain chemistry assessment with a personalized report outlining your nature and your deficiencies. So if you're listening to me right now, my nature is acetylcholine. I could talk like this for the next 4 hours without stopping, okay? That's how my brain's wired. Where my deficiencies come in could be GABA, because sometimes I have trouble shutting that down and going to sleep. Where Susan's the exact opposite. Susan is very GABA natured, and she might have deficiencies in other places. We're going to do weekly scheduled recipes and workouts explaining what to do for that week. You're going to get exercise PDFs and video instruction. And it also includes 1-year membership for our online portal, the RX Studio. Okay. On the RX Studio is every webinar I've ever done, every video I've ever done, any program we've ever produced. I have a whole golf conditioning program on there. And every time we add something, it's like adding another chapter onto our book. We put it into the RX Studio, and you're going to have access to that for a year, long after these 12 weeks are over. Okay. We value the RX Studio, the 12 weeks of the coaching, and all the products that we're going to give you over the next 12 weeks at well over $700. Our normal price, we charged this before. If you're on the phone and you're back with us again, you might have paid $249 for the program. But after the holidays, we talked about this, and we really want to try to make this as accessible to everybody. So we're going to give you the opportunity to buy the program for $99, okay? You would spend more than that coming to me for 2 sessions in a week, but we're going to give you the next 12 weeks for $99. There will be a price increase after this webinar and Monday night's webinar. Anybody who wants to join after that in the future, they'll go back to paying the normal price. And we do have an added bonus for you that we'll talk about in just a moment. Okay, now Susan's going to actually jump in and switch seats with me because she's going to put.
We'll just answer questions.
Well, we have
first.
questions to answer, of course.
Right. So you're just.
Yep.
Go back here.
And then Susan's going to jump in and she's going to actually add something in for me. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to go to chat. And okay. Good question. Hello. How can we add fruit and greens to the protein shake? Okay. What I'm going to suggest is this. If it's your goal to lose stored body fat, the shake is going to be a source of protein that we can agree on that works for you. Now, there's 2 types of protein. There's whey protein, which is a dairy-based protein. And then we also advocate something called Plant Fusion, which is actually made up of 4 different vegetables. It's a vegan formulation. We have found, for the most part, that the Plant Fusion works very well for almost everybody. Some people don't tolerate dairy. If you're someone who tolerates dairy really well, then the whey protein certainly works for you. And we have some really good sources for that. I was someone who went on Plant Fusion for a long time and just started back on a whey protein shake that also has chia seed in it. And it's working extremely well for me. It's a meal replacement shake. But I will tell you, into that shake, I also add cacao, which we talked about earlier when we were designing the shake in a previous slide. I also talked about adding greens to it. So I use something called Perfect Food, which is from Garden of Life. And it has basically it's freeze-dried greens. And I also add something called Inositol.
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 It's an insulin sensitizer.
It's an insulin sensitizer. It helps my muscle cells absorb sugar a lot easier. So I don't store that excess sugar as body fat. Kind of the way metformin kind of works for people who are type 2 diabetic. But we use it, and you use 1/4 of a teaspoon. It's a negligible amount. So you buy a container, and it lasts you the whole year. But with fruit, okay, if your hunger and your cravings are in check, and you have good energy, and you're losing weight, and you want to add a very low glycemic fruit like blueberry, strawberry, raspberry to a shake, and you're hitting your goals and you're losing weight, yes. If you're not hitting your goals and you're not losing weight, I'm going to tell you not to put any fruit in your shakes.
But you have the starch at the end, the last meal of the day.
Right. You're going to have starch at the end of the day. That's true. Susan makes a good point. But we're talking specific about a protein shake. So we say that you should not add banana or apple or pear or mango to a protein shake, because what are we trying to do in the first 4 weeks? We're trying to balance out blood sugar, and we're trying to reestablish a healthy metabolism. So we're going to try to avoid any excess sugars in the diet as much as possible. We're really trying to keep it very simple the first 4 weeks. I just want to make this foolproof, because we've had people come back after 2 weeks and say, I've never had better energy. I'm sleeping like a champ, and I lost 11 pounds, and they're thrilled. And then I had people who, they do it for 2 or 3 days, and then they kind of go off the wagon, and they start going back to more fruit, and they start putting sugar in their coffee, and they absolutely sabotage their program in the first 2 weeks. And they're like, I'm not losing weight. I don't know what's wrong. And I say, okay, let's go through your diet. This is where the coaching comes in, and they sabotage themselves. Okay, I got another question here. I hope that, excuse me, I hope that answered your question. But again, the person who asked this question is going to be with me for the next 12 weeks. I'm excited to have her back with us. So please keep these questions coming. There's no such thing as a stupid or bad question. Love the questions, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you coach. So we're really excited for your success. What if I'm hungry in between on the first 4 weeks? Typically, I'm gonna let Susan chime in a little bit too. We found that when people start giving their body the right nutrients, their hunger and their cravings aren't really that big an issue. But if it does become an issue, the first thing we look at is increasing the amount of protein, fiber, and water in your diet. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Okay, right now my lean mass, I just did my lean mass the other day. It's probably about 185 pounds. Okay, there are people who have done their lean mass and they're about 100 pounds. So if I was to take a protein shake and it was 23 grams of protein, that wouldn't work for me. That might work really well for someone who's at 100 pounds lean mass. So what I would do right away is I would add more protein to my shake. I might add, instead of a handful of spinach, I might put in 2 handfuls of spinach. And well, the water's easy because I'm putting water in my shake, and there's a lot of water in the green vegetables. But that's the first line of defense. Always look when hunger and cravings are a little off. Always add protein, fiber, and water. That's an excellent question. Thanks a lot. Anything you want to add on to that, Susan?
Yes, and if that doesn't work, the next step would be then to add in a fat.
A fat, right. But you know what? Now we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. That really is where the teaching comes in and the coaching comes in.
And we actually have a spreadsheet on how to address that along with the coaching so that you'll remember what steps to take.
Right. We have a whole breakdown on hunger, energy, and cravings and fat loss. And that's a whole thing on is your heck in check.
Exactly.
So, okay. Go ahead. Do you want me to?
Yeah, at this point, you could just go to Pop-ins, and we're going to give you 2 separate links. The first link is for the actual program. And if we click on this link and display the offer, hold on 1 second. And we can actually send you to the link if you're interested in participating in the program. And it's right down here at the bottom.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're giving you the opportunity tonight to be able to sign up for the Eat Clean, Get Lean program. If you were to click on the link below, and Susan's trying to get down to it.
It's right down here. Our screen is so small we can't even see it. Sorry about that, folks. It worked on the larger screen. And let's just take a look here. It's
right about that.
Pop-ins. I'm right here.
Yeah, but what's this thing?
Oh, I could actually. There we
it
go.
Is. There you go. Now.
Thank you.
Now it should be appearing on your screen. So it's a one-time payment of $99 for the next 12 weeks. So if you hit add to cart, it'll take you to our PayPal account, and you can go ahead and you can sign up for the Eat Clean, Get Lean program tonight. And if you do so, okay, Susan's going to
go back to our
make
other
the screen big. Okay, we have a certificate of participation.
And we did it this way. Okay, let me just get rid of this offer. Certificate. Okay. And here.
Here we go. We're almost there.
Right here.
Okay. So if you sign up for the program tonight, you're also going to get a complimentary one-on-one 30-minute consultation for your participation in being in the webinar. So what does that mean? you're going to get one time for 30 minutes that you can meet with Susan or myself, either on the phone, over the computer if you're at a distance, or sitting at my desk in Manasquan. This is not part of an online coaching program. The online coaching program is basically we coach you over the internet like we're doing right now, and we answer your questions by using Facebook. And when we do the webinars every week, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. But this is an opportunity for you to sit down right here in front of me at my desk in my office and get a 30-minute consultation. The value of that consultation is $149. But if you sign up for the program tonight, you're going to get that additional 30-minute complimentary consultation for free. So
Right.
It's an added benefit of the Eat Clean Get Lean program. So,
And also, we're also going to pick one person that has, and I can tell with registration, that was the first one to sign in for the call tonight. So the first person who was actually on time and signed in, whether they purchase or not, will also receive this complimentary consultation. I will send that through to your email.
wow, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You're good.
Excellent.
All right. Yeah.
So don't worry if the links don't work. You're going to be getting an email after this with the replay, the links, the buy-in button, and I can't think. Do we have any more questions?
Yes, we're more than happy to answer any questions that come up. Again, there's a lot of people on the line who are current clients, and they know that they're going to be able to ask me questions tomorrow when they walk into the room, and that's fine. And there's people who've heard me talk about this before, so they're like, "Okay, Mike, I've heard all this already, and I'm ready for week one." Well, Susan's anyone who signs up, they're going to get their quick start guide, right?
That's right.
Right away, you're going to get a quick start guide. And you're going to get more information than you can process all at once. So,
and we're also officially starting this Monday, even though we're having another introductory call on Monday. Our program will start on the 12th, this Monday.
Right.
Although our first webinar call is Wednesday night. So if you purchase the program, I will immediately get back to you with your invite to Facebook, your membership portal, your educational emails, and any access that you may have. You can also get back to me via email, but we will give you your quick start guide and how to start this program first thing Monday. And then our first official call will be Wednesday night. You'll receive a link to register for that as well.
Susan's also in the quick start guide, or things like, and the weekly guides you're going to get 12 weekly guides for us. Every week, they're going to be new recipes. There's going to be shopping lists. There's really nothing that this is the third time we've done this. And I got some stuff coming down the pike that I have never had in webinars before that we're going to be adding in. We have such great technology. Wait till you see the vitamin assessment that we've been able to access. So people like, I don't know what I should be taking. This assessment that we have now breaks it down to, do you live in the Northeast? Do you live in Florida? How much sun exposure do you get every day? What's your stress levels like? Do you eat fruit? Do you eat vegetables? Do you smoke? How much alcohol do you drink? It breaks down everything. So when it comes time for you to get your assessment, your nutrition assessment with regards to the supplementation, which is one of the pebbles, it's not a big rock, it's not a little rock, it's a pebble, but it's important, more important than the sand. You're going to have access to this tremendous online supplement and vitamin assessment, which we're really proud to share with you. There's going to be opportunities for you to get access to different products. We have an Amazon store. We haven't even talked about the Amazon store yet. Everything that you need to be successful is in this program. And if it's not, we're going to find a way to put it in. So that's where the coaching comes in. That's where the questions and answers come in. If you sit back the next 12 weeks, you never contact me, you never ask me a question, I'm just going to assume that you're as knowledgeable as I am in nutrition and exercise physiology, and you don't need to have anything answered. But if you're not, you're like, Mike, I want to ask Mike that question. That's going to sound stupid. No, it's not. Okay. There was a point in time, I did not come into this world with a college degree in my hand. I actually had to go out and earn it. And I had to sit there and I had to listen to people a whole lot smarter than me teach me what to do. So all I'm doing is I'm taking all the research that I've ever done, all the education I've ever gotten. Susan and I legitimately have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars putting this program together. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you look at my college education and what it has cost me to get this knowledge over the last 30 years, it's well in excess of $100,000. And for $99, you get me for the next 12 weeks. I don't know how else. There's nothing else I can say after that. That's the end of my rope. We're going to do this again next Monday night. In case you missed it, you're hearing this recorded and you want to be on a live call, that's great. If you're ready to get started and you've added this to your cart, you've paid for the program, or if you're a client of mine, you already know it comes as part of your membership at KM Fitness. We're going to get started next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. I'm going to come right out of the chute with some great information. It's coming right up on 9 o'clock, so I'm going to end the call because I said I wouldn't do this over an hour, but I did not want to get off the call without having the opportunity to answer any questions that came up. But it's 9 o'clock, so we're going to shut down. Everybody have a great night. I'm really looking forward to working with everybody. So is Susan. We're very excited, and we're really excited to see what's going to happen come this summer, and we all hang at the beach and have a great time. All right. Good night, everybody, and I'll talk to you real soon.
Good night.